For more on this, Charles Payne is host of Making Money on the Fox Business Network, and retired Air Force Lieutenant General Tom McInerney is a Fox News military analyst. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. So you've got the business side of this equation and the military side of this equation. So let's sort of break that down for the viewers at home. Charles, let me start with you. When Donald Trump came down on the elevator today, he came out not to sort of discuss who might be coming in and out, but he had a very specific goal. He wanted to drop this little tidbit that he tweeted about today, saying that he thinks the Air Force One program is just too expensive and they better rethink their numbers on that.
Yeah, I think this speaks more towards his stewardship of taxpayer money than other things. Listen, we've got almost $20 trillion in debt. A lot of that is because of wasteful spending. One of the big news items before Donald Trump came down today was how the Defense Pentagon tried to hide this report, $125 billion.
Talk about that.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Who knows how much it costs to build these things, but we do know that Donald Trump is letting corporate America know there are going to be two things I'm going to draw the line on. You shipping jobs abroad and you taking advantage of the American taxpayer, which is not D.C. as usual. Of course, for the most part, we send politicians there to loot the joint and bring back bridges to nowhere. Looks like that's going to stop.
Yeah, we know that with Marine One, when President Obama took office, he wanted to knock back that program a bit as well to sort of lay down the marker about cutting costs. General McInerney, what do you think about this?
Well, I was on the board of the company Augusta-Westland when that helicopter was canceled, Marine One. It went from $6 billion roughly to $13 billion for 28 aircraft. Now, what was driving it, Martha, and what I believe is driving Air Force One, the 747, is requirements that are far too excessive. And that's where they have to get a handle on it. For instance, on Marine One, they were designing two seats, one for President Bush and one for Mrs. Bush, that would virtually, in a crash, ensure that they were not killed. So it was a very expensive requirement. And I think that, and it had 3 engines. So the fact is they put defensive systems on them for missiles, both radar missiles and heat-seeking missiles. They have command and control on them for nuclear operations, in case that was true on both the helicopter as well as clearly on Air Force One. So that's where these requirements come. But the fact is they are far too excessive, Martha.
You know, when you take a look at some of the things that are on Air Force One, it has to be able to refuel in flight. They have to have the latest cutting-edge military communications equipment because it's essentially a flying White House. It's a flying Oval Office, Charles. And, you know, I think everybody's mind goes back to 9/11 when President Bush was on that plane throughout the whole course of the day. And he needs to have all of the intelligence capabilities. They need to have classified government computer networks. You need to be able to order a military strike or a nuclear strike, perhaps, from that plane as well.
Right. So and again, that stuff costs a lot of money. Almost 10 years ago, Prince Alaouid, he bought a plane from Boeing, Airbus, for $300 million, and then spruced it up for another $200 million. And that didn't include anti-missile technology or the ability to stay in flight for 24 hours or whatever. So the cost in of itself, I don't know, is that ultimately is the big deal here. I think what we have is a message. Boeing, the largest exporter in our country, no company exports more than they do.
Yeah.
And in 1996, they had 240,000 employees. They're less than 150,000 now. So as they export more, it feels like the jobs are leaving also with that. So I think there's a political message here and something of a quasi-promise to the American taxpayer. We've got to be better stewards of your money.
Yeah, they're doing manufacturing in China, and then also this F-16 plant that they're going to build in India, and they asked people in Texas where these were built before, and we're not building new F-16s for our military anymore, but they asked the workers there, you know, how do you feel about this? They said, we're worried, you know, I mean, our jobs are safe for now, they're told.
Lockheed Martin had
exactly.
And
down the road, they say that people are concerned.
Because the world is a big place, and they are selling products around the world, and it could mean a lot of money for these companies. So this is a quandary they find themselves in right now.
I think bottom line is that Donald Trump is sending a message this morning about government costs and also about keeping jobs here. So we'll see where it goes. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Good to see both of you today.